Colleagues, good afternoon, practitioners. This is what I'll be covering. I will actually, some of the slides, I will actually go very quick on them. I'm not going to focus on the theoretical element. I think in here, when I actually listen as you're asking questions, I can see you are actually experts in your field, particularly in HR and L&D. So I'm going to try to make it very practical so that you can actually, have a takeaway. The first point that I want actually to touch on is in the introduction. In my I've got almost like 20 years to 25 years of experience in the L&D space. I always actually ask people just to answer the three questions actually, particularly when you come to the L&D function. Why do we exist? What is it that we need to do to justify our existence? And how should we go about it? And when we answer these three questions, then it means we would actually become strategic partners. I noted actually in most companies, we sometimes actually focus more internally to ourselves as learning and development people, forgetting that actually we are strategic partners to the business as a whole. So the first why is where we need to align ourselves and say, why do we exist? The reason why we exist is not actually to train people. That is not the reason for the existence. And that we need actually to understand. The reason why we exist is to build capacity in the organization. And why do we build capacity? Is to ensure that the organization can achieve its strategic goals. Anusha just mentioned something very interesting now, actually in the previous presentation, where she actually said, well, we need to make sure that there is, the BBBE, we look at the EAPs and we look at those. But when you look at BBBE, it is actually a strategic imperative. And one of the elements of that BBB is skills development. And skills development is an element of learning and development. So in other words, we need actually to start aligning ourselves to the strategy of the organization. If one of the strategy is to say we need to move from level 2 to level 1, the question should be, what are we going to do as the L&D to make sure that the organization can move towards that? The second question is the what. What must we do to contribute to the company bottom line? You'll hear I'm not talking about going and doing the training. And I know when we report about the number of hours, the number of people that have been trained. Those are not contributing to the bottom line. The bottom line when you go to any CEO is, are we making money? Because that is the reason why any company exists. So our learning and development strategies should be designed in such a way that when we look at it, it needs actually to talk to the business strategy. We need actually to say, whatever that we are doing, if we have to go and run learnerships, why are we running those learnerships? I think Stefan mentioned earlier to say in some instances, some people do it for compliance. Some people will say, well, we need actually to make sure that we get to the EE points. But we don't exist for BBB. BBB is actually the result of some of the things that we do. So I've heard actually my chief of HR always actually in our meeting saying, remember guys, you are not training for BBB, but BBB is a business imperative. And therefore, whenever you craft your learning and development strategy, make sure that you take care of that. Revenue generation is one of the strategies. So make sure that whatever that you do, you align it to that. Employee engagement, customer service, that is how we need actually to align that. The last question is the how part of it. How do we do it? And this is where actually I refer. I know we actually currently use, this big ways. One of them is the workplace skills plan. But actually, this is a simple training plan. If you go and look at that and apply your mind to it, and make sure that your plan address exactly what your strategy is saying, and that strategy which is aligned to the strategy of the company, you'll see that your WSP will actually be a living document. You are not going to design it just for say, well, we're just doing it for the sake of we want to get our mandatory grant and those kind of things. Because if you do that, colleagues, I bet the next retrenchment that comes, and you can actually, you will actually agree with me here. Whenever they talk about either reducing the budget, retrenchment, there are certain divisions that they target. And the reason why they do that, it's because we are not actually coming forward as strategic partners. They will look at L&D. They will look at HR. They will look at all the support functions. Hear what I'm saying? They look at support functions because we are not strategic partners. So I'm saying your training plan should actually say, I am your partner. I am building capability so that you can reach your goal. So in the following slide, I'm actually saying, but before you can do that, you need actually to go back to the basics. This is what I normally actually say to people. Let us not actually go and write very complicated things and talk about, very, very difficult things. But before we talk about the basics, I just thought this slide, I'm not going to spend much time on this slide, and you are going to get to these presentations. Colleagues, I need you actually to go through this particular slide and then look at your division. And if you are a company that is providing training, see where you sit in providing that solution to your customer out there. In the majority of instances when I'm engaging with people, I always actually realize that they are either at number 3 or number 4. In fact, the majority are actually at number 3. And they think they are doing a very good job. But actually, we are running behind. If you are still actually looking at things like your 70-20 model and your learning on demand and embedded learning and all those things, it's actually already outdated. You need to be actually at the stage, if you are at least late, where you say we are now looking at digital learning. This is where you look at real-time video, courses everywhere. It can be on social, you learn through social learning, there is social media, there is all these kind of things that you need actually to incorporate. And then you go and say your LMS should not be actually a big thing. It should be just an invisible, it's one of the tools. We don't make a hoo-ha about the LMS anymore. It's just a tool. But now it becomes the data that comes out of the LMS. Do we actually use it as L&D practitioners to make sure that we can advise the business? Can we actually tell the business and say, we can see that you are actually short of technicians, you are short of carpenters, you are short of that. So therefore, we are building this plan to address that for you. So that is actually on the evolution of learning function. So the next one is where, as I said, this is just the basic, where I'm saying the basic is about, colleagues, you can actually talk about, I've heard people saying there is learning and development, there's training and development. There is human capital development, there's human resource development. We can actually talk about all these big ways. But we need actually just to understand this, that from where I sit and in my engagement with the industry, I believe learning and development is the one that encompasses almost everything that we need. So you learn and you develop. The one is actually about acquiring the skills, the knowledge, the behaviors through training, whereas the other one is the long-term, the development, which is actually what we want to see happening. When you want to impact the bottom line of the business, you must keep on, developing the people. So that is back to the basics. The next one is about transition. We can talk about all the things and get excited, but the fact is we need to transition as an organization. Unless we actually accept that there should be changes, we need to transition. And then we will actually keep on going back to our CEOs, trying to justify why actually there are so many people that have been trained, why there are so many people that have been doing this. But in fact, that is not what the CEO are actually saying. What they are actually saying is inculcate the learning culture in the organization. Let people actually out of their own. Don't actually go and nominate people. Let people come forward and say, I want to learn. I can see there is a new technology called artificial intelligence. I want to know about it. That is the learning culture, and we need actually to transition to that. And if we do that, then we'll be able to go and align our strategy, which is what I'm going to talk about now to say, now that we actually say we ask the three questions, the why, the what, the how. Why are we asking those questions? Because we want to become strategic partners. And then we said, well, if we have to ask those questions, where are we? We evaluate ourselves. When you align the trading with the company strategy, there are almost 6 areas that you need actually to look at. And the first one is the first thing, which I already mentioned, is do we as learning and development or HRDs, do we know what are the strategic objectives of the company? I have seen in my experience where when I ask this question, people actually say, why should I know about it? So we have to know, and we also have to know what are the priorities. Because each year there is a priority in each company to say, this year we are focusing on this, the following year we are focusing on this. They might have a 5-year plan, but each year they will actually have priorities, and we need to understand those. Then we need to go and map our training objectives or our L&D strategy. We map it against those company strategies. And then we communicate those alignment to the stakeholders. When I say we communicate, let us actually even go not just among ourselves, because I've seen where we communicate and we design very beautiful document, very long actually, Word document. And then after, writing that document, we take it and go and ask the CEO to sign, and the CEO will sign, and then we take it and put it in the drawer. One of the CEOs that I used to work with once said to me, can you put your L&D strategy on one page? If you can do that for me, then I'll sign it off and I'll give you whatever money that you want. But if you are going to try to write me 20 pages just to explain to me how you are going to enable me to be able to make money, then I'm going to have a problem with that. So that is why communication is very important with the stakeholders. The last one is the evaluation. Colleagues, I think at the moment we have actually gone where we evaluate our training. If you use Kirkpatrick, some actually use up to level 4. But the latest one that has been used is the Phillips evaluation model that goes up to level 5. The two levels that CEOs are interested in is level 4 and 5. The one is the impact of your training as well as the return on investment. Remember, they are putting money for you, and now they want actually to see what is it that they get out of that money that they have invested. So the evaluation of training is very critical. It's not a by the way things. And don't go and focus on what I used to call the smiley cheat sheets, where they say, well, the facilitator was good, the course was this, and the environment. I'm not saying it's not important, but we should have passed that already. Similarly, with the transfer of the knowledge, which is your level 2, we know that we can actually either have access online, we can have this. We have actually been doing that. But the last levels, which is the return on investment and the impact, are the ones for me which are very critical.